You all are live now.
Okay.
Good to go, Ms. Blunt. All right, good evening, everyone. The meeting will now come to order. I'd like to welcome you all to the December 17th meeting of the City of Greenville Board of Adjustment. My name is Michael Glenn, and I'm the chair of the board. I'd like to start by acknowledging that we're conducting this meeting using a remote electronic platform, and we appreciate your patience as we transition between slides and speakers. The Board of Adjustment is a quasi-judicial body that is governed by the North Carolina General Statutes and the city's Code of Ordinance. We conduct evidentiary hearings on requests for special use permits, variances, appeals of administrative decisions, and interpretations. Before we begin the evidentiary hearings on tonight's agenda, I would like to provide some important information about the steps taken to ensure that each party's due process rights are protected as we proceed in this remote platform. First, tonight's meeting will be conducted in accordance with the newly enacted statutes in Session Law 2020-3, which allow for remote meetings and quasi-judicial hearings during declarations of emergency. Second, each applicant on tonight's agenda was notified before being placed on the agenda that this meeting would be conducted using a remote electronic platform. Every applicant on tonight's agenda has consented to the board conducting the evidentiary hearing on their request using this remote platform. We will also confirm tonight at the start of each evidentiary hearing that the participants in the evidentiary hearing consent to the matter proceeding in this remote platform. No case is proceeding tonight in which the city has been contacted by an individual who objects to this meeting being heard by way of remote meeting platform. Third, notice of this meeting was provided to the applicants and to the public in numerous ways. Specifically, notice of tonight's evidentiary hearings was provided by mail to all property owners within 250 feet of each subject property. The mailed notices were sent 2 weeks in advance of the meeting date and within the law to provide such notice. And each notice letter notified the recipient of the remote meeting platform. Notice was also provided by posting signs on the site of each property, publishing notice in the newspaper, and providing notice on the city's website. Each of these notice methods were also done within legal requirement to provide such notice. The notice for tonight's meeting contained information about the means by which the public can access the meeting as the meeting occurs. Fourth, any individual wishing to participate in tonight's evidentiary hearings was required to sign up prior to the meeting to participate. Information about the sign-up requirement, along with information about how to sign up to participate, was included in the mailed notice letters sent to each property owner within 250 feet of each subject property. This information was also included on the board's website, and among other information, a link to the board's website was included in all methods of notice. All individuals participating in tonight's evidentiary hearings were also required to submit a copy of any presentation, document, exhibit, or other material that they wished to submit at the evidentiary hearing prior to tonight's meeting. All materials that the city received from the participant in tonight's cases, as well as a copy of city staff's presentations and documents, were posted online on the Board of Adjustment meeting schedule and agenda prior to this meeting. All materials that will be discussed today can be viewed at any time during tonight's meeting by visiting the Board of Adjustment page on the city's website and clicking the December 17th, 2020 agenda meeting packet link. No new documents will be presented at tonight's meeting, and all decisions of this board are subject to appeal with the Pitt County Superior Court. Finally, all individuals who signed up to participate in an evidentiary hearing on tonight's agenda were mailed a witness oath form prior to tonight's meeting. Any individual planning to testify or submit evidence in an evidentiary hearing was notified that they must sign the oath form prior to the meeting. We will reaffirm everyone's oath on the record at the meeting as we proceed. All right, Mr. Clerk, if you would please take the roll.
Yes, sir. Michael Glenn.
Here.
Rodney Bullock. Rodney Bullock.
Here.
Ann Bellis.
Here.
Hunt McKinnon. Christopher Lilly.
Here.
Sharon Evans.
Here.
Stephen Atkinson.
Here.
Nathan Cohen. Dylan Godley. John Landrine.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
And Mr. Chair, all 7 members present tonight are voting members.
That was my next question. Thank you. All right. Let's see. We will move on to the prior month's minutes. I believe everybody should have received a copy of the minutes in their packet. Unless there's any discussion to that, we would look for a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Bullock
Second.
and a second by, was that Mr. Landrine?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Parker, if you would please take the roll, confirm
Yes,
the vote.
sir. Michael Glenn,
Yes.
Rodney Bullock,
Yes.
Ann Bellis,
Yes.
Christopher Lilly,
Yes.
Sharon Evans,
Yes.
Stephen Atkinson,
Yes.
John Landrine.
Yes.
Mr. Glenn, your minutes are approved unanimously.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Okay, so we have one speaker on behalf of the city this evening. Elizabeth Blunt is our city planner and will be presenting. Ms. Blunt, if you would please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you will provide in the evidentiary hearing of tonight's meeting will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right. Mr. Phillips, I'm going to throw it back to you for our rules of procedure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. The following applies to all evidentiary matters for consideration by the board tonight. As stated on pages 2 and 3 of the meeting handout available to the public, the evidence to be considered by the Board of Adjustment is as follows. The Board of Adjustment is a quasi-judicial body that makes a decision concerning an application, petition, or appeal based on the evidence presented by those in favor as well as those in opposition. The members of the Board of Adjustment are laypersons, and as such, the rules of evidence that are followed in a court are relaxed for cases heard before this body. Though the rules of evidence are relaxed, it does not mean that they are ignored. Only evidence that is material, competent, and substantial will be considered and may be used by the board in its decision-making process. The board may not consider, nor is it admissible, to present or offer affidavits, letters, or other writings in support of the or in opposition to a matter before the board, unless the person who prepared the writing is testifying. These writings are considered hearsay. Statements by a person such as, in my opinion, the application will create a traffic hazard, is not an admissible opinion and may not be considered by the board. However, such an opinion may be admissible if it is made by an expert or a person who is qualified to give opinions concerning traffic hazards, is making a presentation to the board concerning his or her investigation and the basis for his or her conclusion in the report. A layperson can give an opinion, but he or she must also present facts to show how the proposal affects his or her piece of property specifically and not just in a general way. A statement that another person who is not present and not testifying either supports or doesn't support the petition or application is hearsay and is not admissible. The same rule applies to both the applicant and those in opposition. Pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 168-388 and Section 4 of the Board of Adjustment's Rules of Procedure, no member of the Board of Adjustment shall participate in either the discussion or vote on any special use permit, variance, or appeal from an administrative officer's decision in any manner that would violate the affected person's constitutional right to a fair and impartial decision maker. Prohibited conflicts include but are not limited to a member having a fixed opinion prior to hearing the matter and not willing to consider changing his or her mind, an undisclosed ex parte communication with persons before the board, any witnesses, staff, or other board members. Decisions on either a request for recusal by a member or objections by a person appearing before the board shall be decided by a simple majority vote. No board member shall take part in the hearing, consideration, or determination of any matter in which the board member is involved or has a financial or personal interest. Personal interest shall be defined as having a family member involved in the project under consideration, a neighborhood association involvement where such a board member is on the governing body of such association, or whether board member is involved in a conflict or dispute with the applicant on a matter unrelated to the application. If the board member has such a conflict, he shall declare the conflict and request to be excused from voting on the issue. A majority vote of the remaining members present shall be required to excuse the member. No board member shall vote on any matter deciding an application or appeal unless he shall have attended the public hearing on that application or appeal. No board member shall discuss any case with any parties in interest prior to the public hearing on that case, provided, however, that members may receive and or seek information pertaining to a case from other members of the board. If a board member has had an ex parte communication regarding any of the matters for consideration tonight, that needs to be disclosed at this time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. All right, we will move into new business on this evening's agenda. All right, item number one. All right, item number one is a public hearing on a request for a special use permit by Michael Shreves and Michael B. Robertson. The applicant, Michael Shreves and Michael B. Robertson, desire to operate other activities, retail sales not otherwise listed, gun shop pursuant to Appendix A, Use 15D of the Greenville City Code. The proposed use is located at 3740 Charles Boulevard, and the property is further identified as being tax parcel number 37190. And let's see, before we hear from staff, we have two speakers to swear in. And Mr. Shreves, are you present with us?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Shreves, if you would please state your name and address for the record and confirm that you consent to proceed in this remote platform.
Yes, sir. Michael Shreves, 737 Cedar Ridge Drive, Winterville, North Carolina. And I do consent, please.
All right. And if you would also please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you will provide in the evidentiary hearing of tonight's meeting will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right. If you would
Mr. Glenn,
up.
we just have the one speaker this evening.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Great. Well, we will jump right in then. Okay, Ms. Blunt, if you would please give us the staff report.
Okay, this request is for retail sales otherwise not listed. This is a gun shop. The property is located near the southeastern portion of the city. The proposed use is located at 3740 Charles Boulevard. The property is 0.89 acres in size and contains one main building and 3 accessory buildings. The property has approximately 125 feet of frontage along Charles Boulevard. SCI Technology currently occupies the main building. The proposed use will be located in an existing building. The property is zoned CH, heavy commercial. Surrounding zoning districts are CH, heavy commercial to the north and the south, along with RA20 residential agricultural. To the east is CG, general commercial, and to the west is CH, heavy commercial. The surrounding development includes Greenville Pool and Supply Company to the north, a vacant lot to the south, Hardee's Restaurant and Speedway Convenience and Gasoline Store to the east, and cell tower and a vacant lot to the west. The property is located within the commercial character type as designated by the Horizons Plan. The proposed use, which recommends commercial development, the future land use, recommends commercial development within the subject property, so it is in compliance. This is a view of the property from Charles Boulevard. This is a Google shot which shows the side of the property. Notice was mailed to the adjoining property owners on December 3rd, 2020. Notice of the public hearing was published in the Daily Reflector on December 6th and 13th. Included in your package was the definition of retail sales, and staff has just 2 recommended conditions: that the establishment shall not be or evolve into a pawnbroker/pawn shop without separate application and compliance. And the applicant must comply with all local, state, and federal laws and regulations regarding gun sales, storage, etc., and maintain all required licenses such as federal firearms license. Other comments include project must meet all North Carolina state fire and building codes prior to occupancy. And I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Blunt. Any questions for Ms. Blunt? All right, well, we will throw it back to the applicant. Mr. Shreves, if you want to, if you would please again state your name for the record, and go ahead and tell us about your application.
Sure. Yes, sir. My name is Michael Shreves. This property is owned by my brother-in-law, Michael Robertson. He is a trained firearms instructor, and it's something we're doing together, basically. Important here, I think I'd like for everyone to know, number one, I don't ever intend it to turn into any type of a pawn business. Have no desire for that. Also, it's not going to be a gun shop in the sense of a, I don't know how you call it, with a display or anything like that. This is going to be a special order type thing, working with him when he does his concealed carry classes and his firearms training classes. The intent here is to try to provide a safer means for someone to buy a firearm where they're already trained before they make that purchase, and just making it a little bit more convenient for them to do that. Mike and I both are, I guess you could say, firearms enthusiasts, but we believe in doing it very safely. And during the process with the ATF, I found out that I needed to get the special use permit from Greenville. And I certainly don't mind doing that, but I just wasn't aware of it at the time. And we were down to I think Ms. Blunt was involved in talking to the agent, or someone there was, I'm not sure who, but she was going to come on site for the site visit. And when I found that out, then I made the application to you for this. And that's the intent of it. It's not intended to be a display type business or anything like that. The storage, just by the nature of the business, SCI Technologies, he is heavily involved in security, and there's already a large gun safe there. We also have a cage that we're going to lock things up. He has it electronically monitored. That's the business actually he's in, both video and with motion sensors. So I just wanted to let everybody know that. Don't take lightly the safety precautions when doing something like this, and that's the intent of trying to do this in a safe manner.
Great, thank you for the clarification there. Do we have any questions from the board for our applicant?
I have one. Mr. Shreves, could you tell us, explain to me, is it just handguns only you're going to deal with, or will there be special orders for other kinds of long rifles, that kind of thing?
It will probably be both, but most likely it will be handguns, since that's the type of training that we do. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. But it could be for both.
Okay.
Mr. Shreves, so do you mean that you won't actually have regular guns out on shelves to sell?
Correct. Yes, sir. It won't be a display business. It'll just be basically a order, delivery, and then transfer with federal guidelines, basically.
Would you have any type of would your brother do any of that firearms training on site?
No, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Landrine. Any other questions for our applicant?
I have a question for, well, not the applicant, for Elizabeth, if I could.
Yes.
Has the city determined how many accidents in that intersection at Fire Tower and Charles Boulevard, knowing that Bells Fork is really close to that, and also with the widening of 43 with the future development? I know that Bells Fork intersection will go away, but until then, that whole area is very prone to accidents, especially coming from all the apartments that are coming down from the Newbern direction. How is the city requesting the applicant to consider this issue?
How is the city requesting what? I'm sorry, I didn't catch the last part of that.
How is the applicant being able to address this issue? I noticed in his application, he talks about an already vigorous business area. He's absolutely correct. That intersection right across from his driveway, current driveway from TCI is 43 in Bells Fork and Bells Fork. And when you are trying to pull out of that intersection, it's very heavy from traffic coming from the Newbern direction. So how is this being addressed? The city requesting that be addressed with an additional business being added at TCI, which would be more people coming in to that business.
Well, in accordance to what the applicant has stated, it shouldn't be that many because it's only by special orders. So the impact and the traffic pattern should not be increased that significantly by adding his business to that location.
So he's only going to limit himself to one customer, two customers?
I don't know, Mr. Shreves, can you talk about how many special orders do you anticipate on getting?
Yes, ma'am. I think this will alleviate some of your concerns. I actually have a day job. This is something we would probably do after 5 p.m. for the most part. That's when Mike does his training, but that would also be when I would conduct this business. And I think the most people that he ever has in a class, assuming everyone orders a firearm, which I know they're not, would probably be 5 people, and it would be after hours. So I don't anticipate it adding any real additional traffic to during business hours to that address at all. It's a good concern, but I don't think this will add to that.
So we're talking way after 5 p.m. then?
For the most part, yes, sir.
Because for the most part, you have everybody leaving ECU and downtown Greensboro heading back toward Newbern direction to have jobs in Greenville. It's a very heavily traveled road. That's why it's going to be widened quite a bit. So you see my concern about that intersection is a terrible location.
Yes, sir. We have quite a few.
Thank you, Mr. Atkinson. Any other questions for our applicant? All right. If we don't have any other speakers, apparently we do not. Ms. Blunt, please give us the staff recommendation.
Staff has no objection to the request with the recommended conditions.
Thank you. All right, we'll close the public hearing. Is there any additional board discussion? I think your point, Mr. Atkinson's well taken, and I know DOT is working with the city to address all of that. I think it might have been delayed a little bit, but I think it's on the way. A lot of changes coming for Fire Tower and Charles.
Well, until those changes take place, that intersection is going to be even more of a problem if we have additional business coming out of that one little driveway. Yeah. That is my issue about it. There's the access to that business is very limited, and to have an additional business inside that one building is problematic, especially at this time.
Understand. And like I said, I think it's definitely on the docket to be addressed, and we're at the mercy of the funding and state to move forward with that. So hear your concern. Elizabeth, we've lost you. You're in the dark again. All right. Is there any additional board discussion before we move on to criteria? All right. For expediency, the criteria will be read by reference. You may call for a vote on any criteria as read. All right. After reading each criteria, each board member will be called to give their individual vote. If a vote is requested on specific criteria, please say vote and state the specific criteria. I will then call for discussion, and we will poll each member for his or her stance on the called out criteria. Your silence on each criteria is recognized as a vote in favor of the application. All right, and our special use permit criteria are as follows: conditions and specifications, comprehensive plan, health and safety, detriment to public welfare, existing use detrimental, injury to properties or improvements, nuisance or hazard. All right, hearing no objection, we will seek a motion for the approval of the findings of fact.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bullock,
Second.
second by, was it Mr. Lilly?
Ms. Bellis.
Ms. Bellis.
Bellis, I'm sorry, Ms. Bellis. Mr. Clerk, if you would please call the roll.
Sure. Michael Glenn,
Yes.
Rodney Bullock,
Yes.
Ann Bellis,
Yes.
Chris Lilly,
Yes.
Sharon Evans,
Yes.
Stephen Atkinson,
Yes.
John Landrine.
Yes.
Sir, your motion's passed unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. All right, we will now call for a motion to approve the petition with the recommended conditions.
So moved.
All right, I believe that was Mr. Bullock. Do we have a second?
Second.
And a second by Mr. Lilly. Mr. Clerk?
Yes, sir. Michael Glenn,
Yes.
Rodney Bullock,
Yes.
Ann Bellis,
Yes.
Christopher Lilly,
Yes.
Sharon Evans,
Yes.
Stephen Atkinson,
Yes.
John Landrine.
Yes.
Sir, your motion's approved unanimously.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Shreves, we appreciate your patience, and everything looks to be clear for you. And thanks for your time and explaining everything, and wish you the best of luck with your location there.
Thank you so much, and a special thank you to Ms. Blunt for her help. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys. All right, that concludes our new business for this evening. And if there is nothing else, we will seek a motion to adjourn
So moved.
by Ms. Bellis. Do we have a second?
I second it.
And a second by Ms. Evans. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Christmas to you.
Everybody.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
All right, Liz, I'm gonna send you that info, okay?
Thank you. Michael Glenn, I'm gonna need to see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Are you going to vote? Are you going to vote on your motion to adjourn?
Are we voting?
Yes, if you
Mr.
don't mind. We
Mr.
got a
Clerk?
motion. We have a motion and a second, but
We'll do it
can we
fast.
get a vote? Yeah,
We'll do it fast.
just to make it official.
Make it official.
Michael Glenn,
Yes.
Rodney Bullock,
Yes.
Ann Bellis,
Yes.
Christopher Lilly, Sharon
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Stephen Atkinson,
Yes.
John Landrine.
Yes. Now go get.
You are officially adjourned.
Now
Mr.
we're adjourned.
So,
Thank you, everybody.
bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all. Merry
Bye.
Bye. Merry Christmas.